Welcome to the
Feedback.
That's not me. Not me. Are we good? All right, welcome to the February 22nd Plan Commission hearing. Tonight, we have one item on the table, transportation impact fee updates. Before we yeah, you laugh.
You're muted.
Deja vu.
I was gonna say, we're calling, and you have us muted, right?
I do now. You be
You
muted?
need to hang up and try again. I mean,
I guess so. I don't know what's wrong.
Jackie,
Yes.
is your computer muted? I wonder if muting your computer.
My computer is muted. Is everybody else's up here?
I'm not logged in,
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not either.
but I didn't hear any reverb there either.
Hello?
Good point.
It's picking it up as the user of council chambers. Love the transcript.
All right, test.
So we don't have any sound right now because
Oh, we're
they
completely.
are, yeah.
This
They're
didn't
not
happen
logged
to the
in.
old president.
So,
Yes, it did.
all right, we're holding. So,
All right, we're gonna try.
What'd you teach at GU?
I think Andrew's out there, and he's moving.
it's the online.
This is not muted. Okay, now this one is muted.
Prep first semester.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Honor Hayes was
Testing.
Okay, that sounds good.
But it,
great faculty.
but now there's no audio for
Now the
people
Zoom
who are
cannot
online.
hear, I think.
Oh, but
Online people, by golly, I hope we have it.
yeah, I was gonna say, go ahead and proceed with the meeting. I was gonna say, I think everything is good now. You might just need to unmute that and mute them, from that other computer, maybe.
that's not
When they don't
connected to
have-
audio.
Oh, okay, never mind then. So,
No, Chris just left, so he didn't reply.
I probably know some.
Can you?
I can hear you.
Okay. Can people online hear us right now?
Was it Dave?
Yes, if somebody from online.
I can barely hear you.
Okay, but you can hear me fine, Carol?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All righty.
No.
We're gonna start this again. Welcome to the February 22nd Spokane Plan Commission hearing. Tonight, we are going to be hearing about the transportation impact fee updates. Before we get into the presentation, we will have Jackie do roll call.
All right, Michael Baker,
Here.
Jesse Bank,
Here.
Todd Byrather,
Here.
Christopher Britt, absent, Greg Francis,
Here?
Chris Neely,
Here.
Thank you. Ryan Patterson,
Here.
Carol Shook,
Here.
thank you. Tim Williams,
Here.
Clifford Winger.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
So Chris, you say that you cannot hear me? Can you hear me now?
And I really want to hear you for this conversation.
Was that affirmative?
So can you hear me?
Carol, you can hear him?
I can hear you.
What about Greg?
I can hear Greg as well. Greg sounds like he's doing a little hip hop, so I can hear it.
Okay. Well, we are going to go ahead and proceed. I'd like to invite Inga Note and Tim Thompson up to present. And I will go over the rules right after they present. That work?
Okay, good afternoon. Oh, and now I screwed it up already. Okay. So we're going to talk about impact fees again. I think just kind of cover what the possible actions might be today. I got to see if I can move this so I can see. Okay. I think what we're possibly looking for at the end of today's meeting is recommendations to approve the code changes that we've submitted to you. Also to recommend approval of the capital facilities plan project list, which Tim will cover, and then to recommend a boundary option and associated impact fee rates for council. So I'll go through the code changes. The first one here is an adjustment to the construction cost index. We right now are using a 1.96%, which is fixed per every year. We do it in January. And the proposal here is just to tie it to the 5-year rolling average of the Engineering News Record construction cost index. That would be starting in January 2024. And we would have a cap in the code that would say that the increase can't be above 5% per year. Historically, it's been tracking under that, usually in the 3 to 4% range. And here's a chart showing where it was. So looking at it over the past 5 years, it was 3.93%. We have a couple of modifications to the transit fee reduction. And so the way that we did this before, when we did code updates in 2019, is we added where developers, if they did some kind of special transit stop improvements, like a weather cover or lighting or something on their frontage that would enhance a transit stop, we would give them an impact fee reduction. We think that nobody's really used that. It's a little too complicated, and we think this would be better implemented just by doing a fee reduction for any project that is within a certain distance of frequent transit service, frequent fixed transit service. And so we're using the same definition here that we use in other parts of city code, which is it has to serve every 15 minutes for at least 5 hours of the day. And this is just a recognition that projects next to transit will have fewer driving trips. We have a statement in here that we want to add in just to make it easier to allow developers to trade right-of-way to us in return for having a credit against their impact fees. Sometimes we get projects on a corner where we really need some right-of-way in the future, and we want to be able to allow them to use the assessor's current square foot valuation if they choose to do so, rather than forcing them to pay for an appraisal to have it be turned into a right-of-way credit. We also have some edits to this language in Appendix B, which is where the service area maps are housed. Most of the property in the West Plains, or not, probably most of it is owned by the airport board. But occasionally they sell off parcels, and we'd like to be able to incorporate those seamlessly into the West Plains service area when that happens. And so this code change would allow that to happen. Next, we have the project list. So this covers 2 slides, and I have the list of all the projects in the city here, not just the south, the west, and the Latah area. So this includes northwest and northeast, which we aren't making changes to, but they're on here just because they all need to be on the same list. And Tim, this is probably time for you to come up and do your part.
One question for you, Inga.
Yes.
On the current project list, what you've done with the Thorpe tunnels is just the engineering study only, correct?
That's correct, yep.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not sure if the people online are seeing this or not. Can you tell, Jackie? I switched over to Tim's. Yes. Okay, all right.
Thank you, Inga. Good afternoon. Tim Thompson, Principal Planner. My portion of this is really just to support the efforts of the update to the impact fee program itself. The proposed update to the impact fee program does necessitate an amendment to the city's comprehensive plan. There we go. Is that the right one? There we go. What I thought I might do is just give a brief overview of the impact fee program background itself. RCW 8202 authorizes the use of impact fees for public facilities, and in this case, it's for transportation infrastructure. Those impact fees are intended to help fund the necessary capacity improvements that are reasonably related to the new development. The fees must be proportionate to the cost of the facility and benefit the new development. The impact fee ordinance itself was adopted back in November of 2008, and then the impact fee program was approved back in 2011, which established the district, the boundary, and the fee structure. The impact fee program was again updated in November of 2019. And then the city's ability to collect that impact fee is contingent upon the city's comprehensive plan having that project list included within it. And that's really the law talks about the capital facilities element, and through a series of actions, it really lives in Appendix D of the city's comp plan.
Sorry to interrupt already. So in 8202, do you know exactly where that requirement is that we have to have that list in our comprehensive plan? And if not, that's okay. I can't find it either.
I can find it for you.
Okay.
But
Go ahead and don't let
I
me
do
interrupt
have
you. I'll
that.
keep looking. Thank you.
So as we're all well aware, there was a moratorium imposed within the Latah, Hangman, and Grandview Thorpe neighborhoods. It was identified that several capacity improvement projects were needed in this area to accommodate anticipated growth. The purpose of that moratorium was to allow the city time to update the transportation impact fee program itself. And again, in order to collect these revised fees, it is necessary to amend the capital facilities element of the comp plan by updating that impact fee project list, which lives in Appendix D. It does appear that Appendix D was previously amended during the 2017 periodic update process, although the actual amendment to the impact fee program didn't happen until 2019. The updated project list does include several new projects, and any completed projects have been removed. So typically, comprehensive plan amendments are done once a year. However, there are times when the city is permitted to do comprehensive plan amendments throughout or at any time throughout the year. And under this particular circumstance, this would be considered an emergency amendment because it deals with capital facilities. So we are processing this under that emergency amendment caveat, which exists both in state law and the city's development code. So that's why we're able to come before you today and not have to wait for the once a year update process. The proposal has been processed and considered in accordance with all the requirements within our code. And again, it is necessary to address the emergency. This is a project of community-wide significance. And so really what this amounts to is really changing a single page. So on the left is the existing project list, and on the right is the proposed project list. And regardless of what recommendations are made, and regardless of what is actually approved, this list will need to be updated in order for us to be able to collect those impact fees. And so really it's just swapping out this particular page. So with that, I'm happy to attempt to answer any questions you might have.
Jim?
Just clarification, was the list on the left, that 2017 list that,
That's correct.
okay.
Yes, the colorful list is the existing list.
And the list that is being proposed was prepared by city staff?
Correct.
And is there any determination about things that you would like to have added to that list but didn't go on? How did you decide what was on the list?
I think I'm probably not the best person to answer that question, and perhaps Inga will perhaps answer your question as she continues on in her presentation.
Yeah, I can answer it now. Most of the project additions came out of the results of the US 195 study. I don't know why that happened. Okay. A couple of others were added, just taking a closer look at where we might have issues as development pops up in the West Plains and in the south part of the city.
And this is intended to be a 20-year list?
Yes.
I just had another question, if I could. One of the issues brought up by some of the people providing public input was that some of the improvements like sidewalks and striping in existing areas doesn't quite fit the criteria of related to new infrastructure being needed. Could you comment on that?
Yes. And I guess as I comment on it, I should maybe point out a couple of different things. The list that goes in the comprehensive plan can be broader than what is used to calculate the impact fees. So if there is a desire by the Plan Commission to subtract any projects, I would say take it out of the impact fee code side, and it's not a problem if it shouldn't be a problem if it's still listed in the comprehensive plan. I'd have to double check that with James, but I think that would be the way to do it. So on the projects that were brought up in some of the comments, the sidewalk projects for the Grandview neighborhood, since the moratorium was established, we've seen a number of comments come in from the neighborhood. And most of them have been sent to council members. I've been copied on a lot of them, and many of them pointed to the lack of pedestrian infrastructure in and out of that area and the lack of transit. I've talked with STA, they don't seem like they plan to run transit through that neighborhood anytime soon, just because it's kind of windy and slows them down. They'd rather stay on Sunset Highway. So we need to provide a way for people to get over to transit. So I added it because of that, just in response to the neighborhood concerns and wanting to make sure that when it's brought to council, they can say, yes, we've tried to respond to these concerns and feel comfortable lifting the moratorium because we have added some projects to address the citizen concerns.
My question about that is it was brought up as like a pre-existing condition, but in your calculations of, what, because I know you have a very specific, like how you define like lack of capacity versus need for future capacity. Even though something didn't exist before, is there an argument that like there wasn't the need for it and therefore any improvement is, it's not a pre-existing condition because there was no demand for it previously and now there is demand, and so it generates a full capacity in the impact fee schedule as opposed to the, it being all the cities because it didn't exist previously. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're asking. So the way the city defines existing deficiencies is different from an existing condition.
Okay.
A deficiency means it doesn't meet our level of service standards. And our level of service standards are pretty broad for pedestrian facilities. It just says we need to complete a certain amount of miles per year within the city. So
in that definition, there isn't an existing deficiency in that area?
per the level of service standards, correct. Yep. Yeah, and I should also point out that the developer-city split for those projects came out to about 45% developer, 55% city. So that there is that, and that can be adjusted.
Mr. Chair, question. Are we just plowing into questions right now, or is there more presentation here?
I guess the question is, do you have any more presentation or?
I do.
Okay.
You do?
Then maybe let's just
You
wait.
wait. Okay.
Can I just clarify something? Because this came up as a question from Commissioner Byrather. The section in the RCW is 8202050. If you look at subsection 5A, that's where that language comes from.
Which says it shall be in the capital facilities plan.
Yes.
And if I may ask that question, that was now I see that it has to be on the list to be considered for impact fees versus, I guess my question is, like last time, why do we have to update the list? That's one answer. Is it also about changing the amount so that you can get the proper impact fee rate?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we've updated all the costs for all the projects on the list with the exception of the Northeast and Northwest districts.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Director.
Proceed.
Okay. You done? Yeah. Did it switch over, Jackie? Did it switch over back to mine? Okay. All righty. I'm just going to touch briefly on the rate calculation since we've gone in depth on it a couple of times. We are considering the eligible project costs by removing the cost to correct existing conditions. We have a developer share that is calculated based on the remaining available capacity for a developer's use. And then we have another adjustment that we're calling a system factor, which basically just reduces the developer share a little bit more. This is the inputs into the calculation right now. There are some that can be adjusted. Pretty much any of the developer shares could go down if there was a desire to do that. They can't really go up beyond these numbers, but they could go down. This just shows you the calculation. I know you can't see it, but project list on the left, description, the total cost of the project, the part that's eligible for an impact fee, as an impact fee project, the developer share, and then that 90% factor. And then on the far right, the cost that goes into the fee calculation. This is what it works out to with that formula and with the numbers that I've shared with you today. It's on a citywide basis. I already touched on that, so I'm going to skip it. This just lists what some of the city funding sources are to do the city side of that. And then we'll get into the district boundary options. This is the existing map and the current rates being charged for 2023. Just some notes on how we try to come up with the district boundaries. We try to stick with the regional travel demand model, TAZ boundaries as much as we can. We look at the daily travel patterns. We make sure that each district is big enough to include multiple projects. And we try to look at physical barriers that influence how people travel. I talked about the airport and how we're adding a little bit of code so that if anything is sold, it'll be automatically added into the West Plains district. But these are a couple of parcels that have been sold since 2019, and I just want to identify that they are going to be added right now into the West Plains service area. So committee feedback. If you remember from our workshop last time, I'm going to hide this thing. There we go. From the workshop, we had come down to two options at the end, which was option 2 and option 4. And option 2 had the Latah Valley split out as a separate service area. Option 2 had Latah and the upper part of the South Hill combined with a larger city core. And the group was just about evenly split on what their preference was between the two. And some of the concerns they listed were that whichever way you go, you could be encumbering one area with projects for another area. We don't want to price out infill development. Some people wanted to make sure that if they paid in a certain area, that the money would go to projects in that same area. There was concern that option 2's high rates would penalize development in the Latah Valley, and then along with that we should consider looking at a way to step the increase for Latah if we ended up with the higher one. So, coming out of that meeting, I made up a new option, which I shared with you last week, that was kind of a combination of options 2 and 4. And so this is option 6, which keeps the large downtown city core area, but also has the split between the South District and Latah. The other thing that we looked at and discussed internally was talked about taking the construction cost for the Thorpe tunnels out of the Latah calculation. And doing this because the numbers are very conceptual, and we thought it would probably be better to just include money for preliminary engineering at this time, which will allow us to better understand what, how different ways we might be able to accomplish widening or adding a new tunnel, and then have a much better idea of the cost estimate, because tunnels just aren't something that city staff deals with on a regular basis. So the recommendation, I'm showing both numbers on here, but the numbers that we're really recommending going forward would be the lower one where it says with engineering only for the tunnels. And so that goes for all of the 4 slides I'm going to show you. Option 7 is very similar to that, except this one puts all of Grandview Thorpe in the Latah district and puts the boundary up at I-90. And I think I should touch on that just a little bit and explain why I had it drawn this way initially. There's a trail called the Trolley Trail that runs through the Grandview Thorpe neighborhood, and it roughly follows the line there that's defined between the purple and the orange boundary, and there aren't any roads that cross it. There's one private road that basically parallels the rail line on the far east side of that. But other than that, you can't drive from one side to the other without going out to 195 or going down to Assembly. And that does create a pretty substantial transportation barrier in a sense, which is why I thought it made more sense to pair the upper part of Grandview with everything that was on the north side of I-90. This is option 4, that, hasn't changed since the committee saw it. It just has the lower value down here for engineering only with the tunnels. And then option 2, which is similar to option 7, only without the larger downtown area. And then just to give you an idea of what the cost would be for the most expensive one of these, which would be option 7 in Latah. This shows you that for a single-family home and duplex, the rate would be about $7,470 per unit at building permit. And if anyone's interested, I have some numbers up here just from across the state and also from Idaho to give you an idea of where single-family home impact fee rates land in different areas. And I've mentioned before, and I'll just point out again, that this is just transportation impact fee rates. Some of these communities, in particular, like the Tri-Cities area, and I want to say some of those Idaho communities too, also have some parks and other impact fee rates on top of it.
So are these smeared across the whole cities in those cases, or in specific districts?
A lot of them are specific districts. It just kind of depends on the size of the city. Which one was I looking at this morning? Tri-Cities, Kennewick, I want to say they had 3 different districts. It just, just kind of depends.
But most of them have this pattern of, as you approach the growth boundary, then the impact fees go up for new development.
I would have to look in detail at some of them to answer that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And this is the schedule. Study session with council, that was last week, okay. On the 16th, Planning Commission hearing today, PIEs on Monday, and then first council reading on the 6th, and council hearing on the 13th. And then I should also add that I'm tentatively planning that we should do an update of the Northwest and Northeast rates in probably 2024, so we can come back and touch on those, bring all the cost estimates up to date on those as well, because they need to be redone. And that's all I have, so any questions?
I have a question.
Go, Carol.
Thank you. Are the impact fees paid at the time of the permit freeze, or is that something that happens every year?
They're paid at building permit only.
Building permit only?
Yes. It's a one-time fee at
Okay.
building permit.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
Todd?
So I'm trying to understand the RCWs better, and I don't see the definition of a development. It seems the basic understanding of this, and that was mine before coming into this, was these are to support new development, which we often think of as larger tract development, so forth. But is that spelled out somewhere in the RCWs that it has to be a certain proximity? Then that's specifically defined what that development proximity is?
Proximity to what?
Well, I think that, even in the ordinance here, it says at the very bottom of page 1, whereas Washington's legislature adopted RCW 8202050, so it's right there, thank you, in order to enable cities to plan for new growth and development and to recoup from developers a predictable share of the infrastructure costs attributable to anticipated growth. I guess I just don't understand, can that be the whole city, the whole urban growth boundary, we're defining districts, right? So what?
It has to be within the city limits.
Within the city limits, but not necessarily within any defined distance or along a route that we're measuring the impacts? That's the part I'm struggling with, and I know it's a vague question, but I think there's a disconnect for me between, it's obvious you're going to go do 500 units of a development somewhere, there's impact of infrastructure and so forth, but is it all attributable to that development or to the entire city because that development was pushed there? So that's what I'm trying to understand better. Is it in the RCW defined that it has to be proximity based?
I think it is, because you have to have, you have to have a nexus to the development. I know that's
Yeah.
stated in there.
Seems right. I think you're right, yeah.
Yes, please do.
Impact fees are different than other mitigation fees, like under SEPA, which require a very, very direct nexus between the project impacts and the fees that are assessed. Under the impact fees that are authorized by GMA, the fees only have to be reasonably related to development and reasonably benefit the development. And the RCW authorizes us to set up one or more service areas in the city in which we'll collect the fees. And some cities go citywide, and the Supreme Court has affirmed or upheld that process. In the city of Olympia, their impact fee program is citywide. They assess the same fee citywide. Other cities establish service areas and keep the fees closer to home, I guess, and have a little bit more of a nexus. But that close nexus is not required under GMA.
Yet, if I may keep going, then in one of the exemptions, let's call it, it sounded more to me like that could be a proximity base to a transit stop, and therefore it has to sound more like a development agreement rather than a...
To me, that's not an exemption.
Okay.
That is recognizing that certain types of development don't have the same impact on the transportation system as other types of development do. These fees are impact-based. They're tied to a project's, the number of trips they generate and the amount of infrastructure that's needed to accommodate those trips.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you.
Jesse?
So I guess following on from that, and this is maybe more for Inga than for you, James, thank you. You had gone over, when you went through the fee calculation, removal of existing conditions. And I want to just touch on that, A, for my own edification, and B, to sort of clear up the record a little bit, because there's been a lot of commentary on why our developments paying for issues that other developments have caused through their impacts in the past. So can you clarify for starters how that process works? Obviously, let's take 195, for example. It's broken functionally, and that has been caused by a litany of things, none of which are the new development that's paying into the pot in the future for these new projects. How do you quantify that impact in order to be able to arrive at a figure to remove from the cost?
Okay, so the first thing we look at is whether the intersection is meeting level of service standards. And so that's for an intersection improvement. And any that aren't, then we figure out what it would take to correct it and remove the cost from that from the calculation. For some of the projects on there, like adding a new street, there really isn't an existing condition we're correcting. It's just a desire to have additions to our street network to carry traffic and provide better circulation. So we don't have an existing deficiency that we're removing there, but we are allocating the cost of that between the city and the developers, just depending on how much traffic we expect to use it.
And there's then a clear nexus between new development and a need.
Yeah.
Right, as opposed to old development and a need. So I think that's, for those listening at home, that's an important consideration, because it did come up a lot in the public comment, and I wanted to clear that up. Secondly, following off of Commissioner Bayreuther's questions, this is a broad list of projects that covers a larger area. Is there an effort being made to take the dollars that flow from a specific district and put them back into that specific district? Is that a requirement of this conversation, or are we looking at expanding those dollars out to other districts?
We pretty much keep them in the district that they were developed in, I guess. I mean, just to give you an example, if the proposal moves forward to split up the South District, I'll have to look at what's in our account right now and how much we've spent on projects in both areas since inception and figure out how to assign the remaining money to one side or the other.
And that was going to be my next question, is who does the accounting for that? It sounds like you. Sorry. Just one other out of curiosity question, and then I'll cede the floor here. What has led to the dramatic increase of the downtown zone in the majority of options? You talked at the beginning a lot about using kind of definable features, the bluff, railroad tracks, river, those sorts of things to define some of these districts. And that expanded downtown district covers a lot of those landforms and covers a very different sort of urban typology, one to the other. How was that decision made and why?
So option 2 keeps the existing downtown boundaries. The other ones, it kind of varies depending on which one you're looking at, but if you take option 4, where it's the biggest one, the thought there was just that most of the development in that area is more multi-use. It has more walking trips. It has better sidewalks. It has transit, for one, is a huge difference there. So it was just trying to recognize that people have other options and are less likely to drive, in part. And I'm trying to remember what else we discussed in the committee meetings. But there was a desire to look at it from the perspective of promoting infill development as well and keeping the rate a little lower for those areas.
Is that then a detriment to the infrastructure in those neighborhoods?
No, the projects, as we change the boundaries, sometimes the projects will shift from one district to another. So in the one with the expanded boundary, it has more projects.
Okay.
The other thing we looked at is also just, and specifically on the South Hill side, we didn't expand on the north side because I didn't want to modify northeast and northwest boundaries. But, you know, we kind of looked at, if you live here, where are you going to do most of your shopping? Where are you most likely to spend your free time? Are you driving, out to 57th, or are you driving to downtown? And kind of tried to draw the boundary there. So.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions before we go into public comment?
Yes, I have one question, please.
Okay, go Carol.
And it may have been answered. I'm wondering about the, I forget which option it was, but it was combining Grandview or with Lake Talk. And I noticed that the city limits just extend into Thor, and then it crosses over into the county in Latah. Does that, do we can combine those two areas, go into the city and as well as the county for impact fees?
Okay, let me clarify the question. Are you asking if we've included some of the county in the boundary?
So Latah is not part of Spokane. It's Spokane County, but it's not part of Spokane. It's not like Northwest or the downtown area. It's not included in Spokane in that way, is it?
Everything shown within the boundaries within the city limits, if that answers your question, but maybe I'm not understanding it.
Okay, so Latah is part of the city limits.
Yes.
Oh, okay, because I went online trying to determine if they were part of the city limits. Okay, thank you.
Well, I was going to ask, Commissioner Shook, are you asking how are there county, maybe a little primer on, are there county impact fees and how they do or don't relate? Might be.
There are not, but when the county has a project that is just outside of our city limits and it's large enough, I will often ask them to contribute through SEPA mitigation to our projects.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Is it possible for us to recommend that we have citywide rates? Because you were mentioning you hadn't done the calculations yet on the northwest and the northeast. And in my mind, there's a number of reasons why we might want to consider a citywide rate so that it's not unreasonably high in one area. I know there's pros and cons to that, and I haven't made up my mind, but I just wanted to find out if that is an option for us at this point in time, or whether it's not possible since the rate work hasn't been done.
I would say at this point, because the rate work hasn't been done, it's not an option.
I don't know if this works or not here. I just wanted to, this is not a question, but a comment. Having been on the advisory committee and having watched Inga work on this for quite some time and take everything I think we said and tried to develop reasonable accommodation, like going to options 6 and 7, which happened after the advisory committee had met. I really want to commend her for the amount of work done and the amount of thought given to it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we are going to move into public comment, and before we do public comment, I will read the hearing procedures, which I should have done before. You guys have been very misbehaved today, so I guess we're doing okay. Anyway, cell phones should be silenced, no clapping, cheering, or booing, no public outbursts. We will have a time limit of 3 minutes per presenter. If there is a group presentation, which I don't believe we have one, we can go a little bit longer. Any public members shall wait to be recognized by the president, which is myself, before speaking. And then people that are testifying, we ask you to avoid repetition and limit your comments to the specific project and code compliance. And then each speaker shall follow all the instructions from the president so that their remarks may be heard, understood, and recorded. And all comments to the Planning Commission shall be directed to the secretary to be appropriately entered into the public record. This includes oral, written, and email comments. And just so everybody's aware, we have received a number of emailed comments, and we do have, all those have been distributed to the Planning Commission, and we have had hopefully an opportunity to review them all. And then, everything is to be spoken, no nice visuals. So I guess if you have a chart, that's good. But anyway, so with that, we are going to go ahead and move into public comment. The first person we have is online, and that's Scott Krajak. If you're still there.
He's actually here in person.
Oh, he's here in person. Well, there you go. Welcome, Mr. Krajak.
Commissioners, thank you for your time. My name is Scott Krajak, and I work for Ryan Built Homes. We are the owner of the Summit project that is at the very top of Eagle Ridge Boulevard, right where it tees into Cedar Road. We built 20 single-family lots last year, which were completed just prior to the implementation of the moratorium. Not only did we install all of the on-site infrastructure, but we also built a required signage project on Highway 195 that is 4 miles away from our project. And we built a City of Spokane water booster station that's 1.5 miles from our project that were both required as part of our project. And yet, after spending all the money on our project, the city improvements, and the highway improvements, our vacant lots still sit there just as they were last year due to the moratorium. Public Works, I think, looks at some of the slides and these numbers and sees nothing more than numbers on a chart. But to a builder and to a developer in this area, we see a lot more. We see destruction of value. We see an attack on our investments. And we see unjustified costs and delays, all because of past mistakes that we had nothing to do with. I'm asking you for 3 things today with your motion. I would implore you to recommend option number 4. Option number 4 is the lowest fee of all the options. All of these options fund the required improvements anyway. The boundaries do not matter as much as keeping the cost down. There's been a lot of talk about the boundaries. To me, you should be focused on the number, not the boundary. Number 2, I'm asking you to ask staff to remove some of the other costs that are in here. I do think that now that the Thorpe Tunnel has been removed, the engineering should be removed. The pedestrian facilities, I'm a big fan of pedestrian facilities. I have them in all my projects, but these pedestrian facilities connect existing areas with existing areas. They have nothing to do with new growth, and impact fees are supposed to be related to new growth. I would think they should be removed. And I think the developer share should be lowered per the letter that you received from the traffic engineer, Todd Whipple, and the attorney, Elizabeth Tellison. And number 3, since our lots were completely built prior to the moratorium, I'm asking you to amend your motion so that our first phase, the 20 lots we built and had finished in August, are exempt from this increased impact fee. And that's all I have. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Jim Frank.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Thank you. President and members of the Plan Commission, thanks very much for the opportunity to weigh in on this issue. I'm with Greenstone Corporation and developing in Spokane for almost 40 years. I submitted some written comments, and I don't want to repeat what I put in the written comments, but I want to address my comments here to the boundary. And I strongly urge that you consider option 4 as the boundary, and I'd like to give you some reasoning. The option 4, there's a lot of feedback. Are you hearing me, or I'm getting a lot of feedback?
We can hear you fine.
Jackie, can you mute us maybe while he's talking?
You're muted. You can press *6 anytime to unmute yourself.
That seems better from here anyway. The Lake Tahoe Creek area was part of the South Hill. It's been part of the South Hill District for many, many years. And I think it's important to recognize that a lot of development fees have been paid from the Lake Tahoe Creek area, and they've gone into the South Hill District, and they funded projects on the South Hill. And so it's not a fair argument in my mind that you look at, you create a very small area, and then you say that that area has to pay its fees when that area is one that is being impacted by traffic from around the region. And SRTC has identified the I-90 corridor projects as projects of regional significance. And if you look at the traffic data generated by SRTC, you'll see that the traffic on 195 comes from the South Hill, it comes from Spokane County, obviously comes from Lake Tahoe Valley as well, but there's a very wide range of sources where that traffic is generated and the destinations it's going to. Downtown Spokane is a huge traffic generator, and a lot of the traffic that's being developed on 195 ends up going to and from downtown at peak hour traffic. So it's fundamentally unfair to carve off a small area that's a regional facility and have the entirety of those costs being placed on that small area, when that small area has already contributed a lot of development fees that went to the South Hill District. So I urge you to go with option 4. Thank you.
You're unmuted.
Thank you. Next up is Elizabeth Tellison, if I got that right. Yes.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Elizabeth Tellison with Winston and Cachet, and here on behalf of a variety of my clients and as well as a committee member to the advisory committee. And first, I think it's important to understand what US 195 is. It is not a city road. It's WashDOT's road. It's WashDOT's facility. It's similar to many of the city's facilities, that the city gets to control who uses them, when they use them, and how they use them. WashDOT has been saying for decades, you do not get to use our highway for your local trips. Please stop. We have now reached a breaking point. We have now reached safety concerns, and WashDOT is continuing to affect building in the city of Spokane because of these problems. These need to be fixed. WashDOT's directive is build an alternative route. And many of the projects that are on this project list do that. We want that. The city wants that. Development in Latah wants that. Existing residents want that. But if you focus too fine a microscope on these projects that do have regional significance, they will not get funded. They will not happen, and we will be down the road again without a fix. So I ask you to take the time that you need to understand what these projects are, what their cost is, and how to get them implemented in a timely fashion. The moratorium has put this whole process on fast forward. It didn't start this process. This process has been well underway, and Inga has been working on this, I'm sure she would tell you, for at least 18 months, but we know for sure at least the last year. And she has done a fantastic job with the information that's been provided to her. But she needs your feedback. She needs your direction to make recommendations on what are the policy decisions that need to be advanced to council. What should we be focusing on, and where does the city see itself in 15, 20, another 30 years? The Thorpe Tunnel, from WashDOT's perspective, needs to go away because we don't want another connection at Thorpe. The J-turns at Thorpe have fixed much of the safety concern. WashDOT is not as concerned about Thorpe, and the WashDOT study very plainly says, we aren't looking at that right now. So why would we go and spend $1.5 million or $14 million, depending on which number is used, to repair or change a tunnel that is going to be discontinued? Those funds should be used to fix this problem, and that fix is an alternative route. So I ask you to take a careful look at this project list and really ask yourself, where do we want our money spent? Because it is going to be the city's money in addition to the developer's money. Those are important pieces of this analysis. And Inga has told you every time, these are my numbers, these are the calculations I've used. You have the power to review them and adjust them and make other recommendations, and I ask that you do that. This moratorium has been a bit of the tail wagging the dog through this whole process, and it's bleeding over into the GFC discussion as well. And in fast forwarding this review, it has also put an artificial deadline on completing it. And so I ask you to include in your recommendation to the council that they allow the moratorium to expire, that the work that has been done is really good work, but jamming it through on a fake deadline does not serve the interests of the city, it does not serve the interests of the neighborhood, and it does not serve the interests of our future. So I ask you to recommend to council that they give this another couple of months to work through the impact fee process, irrespective of the moratorium. The service area. The service area isn't a legally mandated methodology. All the legislature has directed us to do is use sound planning and engineering principles so that your service area serves new development in the aggregate. The narrower and narrower and narrower we draw these area lines, the smaller and smaller and smaller the pool of money gets to fund these improvements. That is not the intent of impact fees. As Mr. Richmond pointed out, specific impacts from a development, I have a 1,000-lot development I'm putting forward, I've got 1,200 trips I'm adding, those trips will be mitigated through SEPA. If there is additional work that needs to be done, SEPA is the tool for mitigating those impacts. Impact fees are for system improvements, area-wide improvements that serve the city. And that's why the Supreme Court in the City of Olympia case said, hey, you have analyzed this with good planning and engineering, so having a service area that is your entire city is okay. That keeps the fee down. It ensures there is money available for projects across the impact fee area. So the idea that these new projects that are fixing a 30-year-old problem should be paid for by the developers in Latah, I think is problematic for a number of reasons. And I would also advocate that you look at option 4, keeping the south area in a single improvement area, allowing all of those funds to be used for the projects that have been identified in a timely fashion. The 20-year project list is important, but these funds, when they're collected, have to be used within 6 years. So if you make this fee too high, you will deter development, you will collect fewer fees, and you will decrease the possibility of completing these projects. That will happen.
Okay, your time is up.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next up is Andrew Rowles.
Well, good evening, Mr. President and Commissioners. I'm Andrew Rawls with the Downtown Spokane Partnership. Thank you for the opportunity to provide a few comments on the impact fee update process. It shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone that members of the DSP oppose any additional development costs. In the document listing the committee members' preferred boundary options, Councilmember Kinnear's comments, which I will paraphrase here, sums up our thoughts on these changes quite well. Don't disincentivize infill developers by selecting a rate that would increase costs by a factor of 9, as proposed in option 4. As you know, developers are facing cost increase across the board, some of which are macroeconomic, including labor and inflation costs. Others are particular to developing in the state of Washington or in Spokane, including state-mandated code compliance cost increases and the residential landlord-tenant ordinance to be voted on this coming Monday. There are those development costs particular to downtown that have always existed, like land costs and the expenses of vertical construction, or are anticipated, like the general facilities charges that may go up from the current cost in downtown of $0 to possibly thousands of dollars per project or even unit, if my understanding of that is accurate. Low impact fee rates in downtown have existed since the start of the program in recognition of these costs and the objective to focus development in the urban core. And programs such as the MFTE have been engaged to support infill development. But with the expansion of the MFTE area, its value for the urban core has been somewhat eroded. With possible dramatic increases in impact fees and general facilities charges, the city may inadvertently head in the exact opposite direction indicated by the comprehensive plan. Add all of the various existing and anticipated costs of developing in downtown, and we may be heading into the range of a 5 to 8% premium to develop in downtown when there are still plenty of readily developable parcels in and around the urban core. The Council's Housing Action Plan put it well when it advocated for increasing housing supply options and affordability for all incomes, preserving housing affordability and quality to help people thrive where they live, enhancing equitable access to housing and home ownership, and leveraging and growing partnerships to support housing initiatives across the region. Given a minuscule vacancy rate and across-the-board development cost increases, it's hard to comprehend how dramatic cost increases align with those objectives. We concur with Councilmember Kinnear's position and support option 2. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And next is Darren Watkins.
Thank you. Darren Watkins from Spokane Realtors. I'd like to make my limited comments to three areas: facts, fairness, and fears. Just a clarification. There is I'm not sure how this happens, but there is a consensus thought that these are $800,000 homes that are being built in the Latah Valley, especially as we discuss what rates should be. These are, on my way to work, I pulled every single home that was sold in the Latah Valley in the last year, and I can tell you that of the 100+ homes that were sold, only 11% were $800,000 homes. Most of these homes, in fact, about a third of them are between $375,000 and $525,000. In fact, the only 4 homes sold this year, average price of $470,000. Fairness was something that you have to consider here. It is an element of law. The people who enjoy the benefit should share in the burden and the cost of that benefit. Impact fees, by their very nature, do not do that. In fact, it's one of the key areas of litigation in law. That's probably why your city attorney is back there taking notes. And the idea is to be fair. And now, historically, we have had a problem there. Fees from not just from the city, but from the state have been generated down in that Latah Valley and not used in Latah Valley. Yes, they have been used in South Hill projects. It's only fair that if we spread the costs, the map that we saw that spread that cost and brought it down seemed fairer because of the spread of costs. One helps the other as it goes back and forth. But as we looked at this, I have to say, as a member of this committee, I'm concerned that there's a lot of stuff you're looking at today that we never looked at. There's 2 different maps. There's a lot of cost structures that are different. We never talked about tunnels, really. And ironically, we now have information from state leaders that the biggest key area to be addressed in this area is surface roads that were promised several administrations ago, and that's what's impeding state funding for some of these projects. So we really should talk about this. I wouldn't mind, in fact, if you wanted to kick this back to the committee for further review. I'd like to take a shot at it myself. And then finally, our fears. I just want to tell you that I guess the biggest fear we brought to the table is it wasn't about competitiveness. Yes, other areas have fees that don't have this, and you can see the building moving over to Kootenai County, and you can see it in the traffic every day coming across I-90 from the people who are living there and coming back here. No, I'm concerned that if we set the fees too high, you'll never see a dollar. When we talk about $11,000 and $12,000 fees, and we talk about $11,000, $10,000 hookups to water, what is the impact right now, today, just from these discussions? Allow me to read a sentence from a letter that was written to the city by NEI Black. We are ceasing all development in the city of Spokane until these areas can be mitigated. And that's several hundred apartments. That's over 200 single-family lots. Now, just remember, we are in the middle of a crisis. 25,000 housing units short. That's 1 in 4 families are underhoused in the city of Spokane. 1 in 4. And right now, we're seeing a drop. In fact, last year in the city of Spokane, we saw a drop of 27% of new homes being sold. The work before you is difficult, but it is critically important. We need to address the projects in this area because it does represent one of the greatest opportunities that we have to expand housing in Spokane. That is, until the North-South Freeway is completed, we'll come back and have this same conversation. But for now, that's what we have. And I encourage you to think about the work. This is a critically important piece of work you are tackling. My father and I used to build homes. Yes, a brand new house seems like it's out of price for most entry-level people. My dad used to build a house because he said, whenever you build a house, 4 families get a new place to live. Because the people who buy that house are selling their Shadle Park Rancher. The people who buy that Shadle Park Rancher are moving out of an apartment. And the people who are moving out of their apartment are getting out of their parents' basement. So this does have a big impact. And I appreciate your effort on that. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, that is all the sign-in sheets that I have, are there any additional public comments that we have not heard, either in person or online? Are you aware of any others, Jackie? Okay, I'm hearing none. So with that, we will close public comment and we will move on to deliberation. Okay, as we look at this, I mean, in our meeting this morning, we did talk about breaking it up into several different items.
Like Inga also recommended.
Yeah, and Inga also did that as well. And so we're looking at, we'll go through the text changes to the SMC first, and then we'll look at the service area map, and then we could talk about the impact fee project list. And the impact fee project list has to be adopted both in the SMC and in the comprehensive plan. So we'll have actually two different motions for that. So we are going to go ahead and start with the SMC language changes.
So I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the changes to SMC 17D .075 section 040 through 180 with the addition of 190 Appendix B, which is the West Plains service area map dealing with the airport land changes, and adopt the language changes as recommended.
Second.
Thank you, Clifford. Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and begin deliberations on that item. This is just, we're only talking about the text changes right now to the ordinance.
And if anyone, that includes the assessment of impact fees changes, the fee reduction credit changes, which was the transit area, transit, close to transit, impact fee schedule changes, and the Appendix B for the West Plains service area map.
Can I ask a clarifying question? I noticed in the packet that's presented to us covering those sections that were just referenced, we're listing Appendix A, Appendix B, and Appendix D. Is there a reason that we are not discussing Appendix C and how those fees are calculated?
I think that's a great question for Inga.
So Appendix C deals with the background map or background math of the rate calculation, and we're not changing any of those numbers. All we're changing is the overall PM peak trip fee per district, but everything else in the table, the math is staying the same.
Okay, I do have a question on that, though, because it was brought up in the public comments, and I think it's a really valid question. Can you outline, or I guess confirm, which version of the ITE manual those calculations are based on?
So primarily, they're based on the 9th. I did use the 10th edition when we made some updates in 2019. I went back and checked my notes on that. The 11th edition was not out yet. And at some point, I would like to go through and update that to meet the 11th edition, but given the need to get this done by March, I did not include that in this update.
So I guess, from my perspective, that's really frustrating that not on your part at all. I think on the imposition of this deadline, I think there have been some valid questions raised as to the impacts of updating that to the 11th, to the most current version of the ITE, and what knock-on impacts those would have on those fee amounts, which I think are a critical part of this conversation. So I don't, it's not within our purview on this map, or on this what we have in front of us today, but I'm frustrated, to use one of the commenters' phrases, with the tail wagging the dog here, that we're making big decisions and we're not getting all of our ducks in a row beforehand. And I would really recommend to council, when they review this, that we consider that, because it could, in the words of one commenter, have a very significant swing on some of those fees.
If I could comment on that,
Absolutely.
I did look up the rates. They haven't changed that much.
Okay.
I can tell you that single-family detached goes from 1 PM peak hour trip to 0.94. It's not that much. The only one that I saw a big change on was the 11th edition includes a new category for duplexes for single-family attached, which was not there before. Right now, we charge single-family attached duplexes only, not triplexes, as single-family. So the big difference there is right now we use the 1.0, the same rate for a single-family detached house. The 11th edition drops that down to 0.57. That's the only one that has a big swing. The others, multifamily, attached housing, this is anything that's 3 or more units. The old edition was 0.67, 11th drops it down to 0.51, so it comes down a little bit. Multifamily mid-rise, which is 3 to 10 levels high, that one goes from 0.44 to 0.39. So it's just the duplexes that has the big swing is the only one.
Definitely, and I would argue that this body spends a great deal of time talking about middle housing
Yep.
right now, and duplexes in particular have been a major subject of conversation, and I would imagine a lot of the developers are looking to build that type of product. I would also just say, if we're looking at projects that are several hundred units, say, even 1.0 to 0.94 or 0.56 to whatever, those all add up, and we're talking about significant fees here, and we're talking about significant impacts to development. And I think, and again, this is not a reflection on you, you're working within the parameters that you have, but I think the city really ought to be taking their time to do this carefully and understand where all of those dollars are coming from, and making sure that they're trued up to the most current information.
A follow-up question. You mentioned that you're planning on, in 2024, to assess or to revisit the Northwest and Northeast maps or rates. At that time, would it be reasonable to use the 11th edition to adjust all of the zones?
Yes.
Service areas?
Yes, I can do that when next time I touch this section, yes.
So thank you, and I want to join Team Inga here and thank you for all your work on, under the given context. But I've got to say to the commission, I need to slow way down here. I'm having trouble. First of all, let's back up to what our role here is. We're advisory to the council to make a recommendation based on consistency with the comprehensive plan. We haven't even talked about, is this consistent? Like the fundamental concept of this, how is this grounded in the consistency? And to no fault of any staff or presentations, so I'm just saying to Commissioner Banks' question here is, if this isn't grounded in some of these fundamental questions and needs right now that we're discussing, I have a big time jumping into the details of districts and so forth, when I'm having questions now on impact fees of whether or not there even should be districts, and trying to understand where in this is the connection to zoning, land use, everything else, because I don't see it. I see a map that looks like a 1960s suburban. As we go out, we're going to penalize suburban sprawl because we have to put pipes in the ground, and we all know that connection to infrastructure, but our city boundary, our growth boundary is one big pool, okay? And if somebody pees in the pool, we're all swimming in it, and we all got to figure out how to deal with that. And I think the question is who and to what extent are people peeing in the pool, and where? And I don't mean to be, I'm joking, obviously, but I'm not, because it's like, why is it not connected to density, to realize density based on our land use map? If someone builds 2 units per acre in the valley, yeah, I think that's a bigger impact than if someone builds 10 units per acre. If someone were to go out in the plains and build 20 units per acre, yeah, they deserve a pipe. And we all should pay for that, relieving the pressure on our community for building housing. And I really am challenged with maps that, I hear the argument for downtown, but that's an argument for bringing in a lot of other considerations. I look at maps where I see downtown zone creeping all the way up to 29th. We're talking about neighborhoods. I mean, we just went through this with Cannon, and talking about restricting development and giving, tax deferrals for 10 years. And now we're saying if they do those development where they get the tax deferral, they only pay $80 I have real challenges with that kind of thing, because to me, if they're built out at 2 units per acre, that's part of the problem. So I'm going to step back because I need feedback on how we can even approach some of this before we start talking about boundary lines and calculations.
I want to capture Commissioner Neely first.
And can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, good. I had this thing all figured out what I was going to say, but as usual, Todd beat me to it. I have to agree with Todd. The impression I got reading through all of this, talking through all of this, listening to the public comment is no reflection on anybody in the city, too fast, not enough detail, and to Todd's point, I just don't see it doesn't feel like it's been thought through all the way, and I would urge us to in Todd's words, sorry Todd, take a step back.
All right, Commissioner Brake.
I'm concerned about Mr. Watkins' statement that there were maps and charts and things in here that the committee didn't even see before. I just don't think we can move on.
I just want to remind everyone that technically, right now, we are discussing the changes that don't apply to the maps. And so I don't know if there is a path forward. The motion that was made was for everything except for the maps and the impact fee project list. So it's the language changes of how the impact fees are assessed, the fee reduction credits, the impact fee schedule, and the service area map specifically only for the airport area.
Just to clarify, so in our proposed ordinance, or you're excluding 17D 075, 180, 190, and 210 from this motion?
Yes.
Okay.
The only part of 190 that was included was the 190 Appendix B for the West Plains service area map around the airport.
So the textual modification.
We tried to break it up so that we could have smaller discussions and then deal with the larger discussions separately.
I support the motion. I don't think these are controversial, and I think they're helpful amendments, so I would urge us to just move and vote on this.
So on the text changes, that's what you're... Okay, so are there any other discussion items around the text changes before we get into the project list and the map?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the text changes right now, and they're including, 075, 180 is amended as follows, and 190 is amended as follows, as you've indicated, and then 210 is amended as follows. So those pieces are in the text. I don't know how you
Well,
can, I don't know how we can
in-
vote on the text and not include those items. that are in
We're
the text.
specifically voting on those portions of this proposed ordinance, instead of trying to vote on the entire ordinance
Excluding
whole.
section 3, 4, and 5 for now.
So, Inga, can you speak to actually, I think Spencer might be able to do it as well. So as far as Appendix A, so Section 180, the impact fee schedule is not within the development code. So that's not within our purview to review, is my understanding.
That is my understanding as well. That is in Title 8, is that right?
James comes right here.
I thought Inga could get that. Yes, the fees are in the code. They're in the appendice to the code. The fee schedule is in the code. We don't have a fee schedule right now because the fee schedule is sort of dependent upon the options you select in terms of the service area boundaries and the project costs.
So we can't adopt changes to the fee schedule without having adopted a service area map.
The fee schedules will sort of happen automatically. They'll be sort of filled in by a computer automatically.
So
is
we
my-
don't need to make a recommendation
My
on it.
assumption based on the options you select.
Okay, so I think I'm probably confused on what the fee schedule is versus the rates that are set within the ITE.
I think
The rates that are set in the ITE are kind of the math behind the fee schedule.
They feed into the fee schedule.
Yes. Yeah, so that the fee schedule is the one-page table that if you come in with, let's say you've got a grocery store, we look at it and we say, okay, you're building 200,000 square feet of grocery store, your fee is X amount per 1,000 square foot. And it is the same rate for each type of use citywide. The only thing that changes is the amount that you pay depending on which service area you're in. And so we change the number at the top, and like James said, the computer fills in the rest.
So it's a multiplier,
Yes.
and no changes are being recommended to that fee schedule at this time.
The only thing that, I guess as you adopt a service area boundary, that will also adopt a new PM peak hour rate, which will allow us to fill in the numbers on the fee schedule. Does that make sense?
So essentially, we should be doing 180 and 190 together, because when we adopt the service map, that's going to backfill that fee schedule.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
So I can support this if, right now, we clarify that the motion is for section 1 and 2 of the proposed ordinance, which falls on page 3 through middle of 8, right?
Clarify your motion.
Yeah, I'd like to amend the motion to remove,
So, can I ask a question first? Can I ask a question first before
Yes,
you
go
amend
ahead.
the motion? Thank you. I'm wondering if this is the time where we're supposed to be voting on which option we like, whether it's 1 through 7?
not at this
Is that
point.
correct?
We'll get there. We're not there yet. Right now, we're just focusing on the text changes.
So I'd like to amend my motion made previously to exclude SMC 17D.075-.180, which is the impact fee schedule. We will still be including 040, 070, and 190 Appendix B. There might be one other one that I forgot.
Well, how about with 190,
Do we want to
we
do that
just
separately?
we do the text change along
Okay.
with the service map, just so we keep 190 out of the
Okay.
discussion right now? Does that make sense?
Yeah. and excluding 190 Appendix B at this point.
Is the seconder okay with that?
I'm really sorry, Jackie.
Is 210 in there too, the project list?
No,
Okay. So section 3, 4, and 5 are not part of it?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Are people clear on what the motion is?
The amended,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
the amended motion?
Could you repeat that,
So
please? I couldn't
the
hear.
motion in front of us at this point is to adopt the changes to 17D 075040, assessment of impact fee changes. I'm scrolling through. 17D 075070, fee reductions and credit text changes. And that is,
So
oh, dang it. This thing is so long.
would it be easier to just
That's
refer
it.
to the sections in the draft ordinance?
That's-
So
oh,
section
that's
1
it.
and section 2 of the draft
Let's
ordinance.
do that. All right. We're addressing amendments as in the section 1 of the draft ordinance and section 2, which there it is, top of the page.
It's bigger.
It's so much bigger on yours. And we will be addressing separately sections 3, 4, and 5.
And you think Cliff has to be okay with the with the amendment?
Do we second it again?
Yeah, do you want to second the
Second again.
change? Okay. Okay, so now what we have on the table is sections 1 and 2, which are just the text components. Are there any further discussion on those items? Hearing none, we will take a vote. Jackie, can you call roll?
Before you take a roll, I was trying to ask a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Okay, just a minute to get back there. Switching between two screens. Okay, so we're doing section C, and then is it 316.20, or what are the numbers behind? What's the total number we're
It's
discussing,
sections 1
we're
and
voting on?
section 2 of the proposed ordinance.
So 17D.0507070
And 040.
Okay, 17D,
and 17D075040.
okay, let me get there again. Thank you.
So do you have a question on either of those two items?
Not yet, I'm looking for it. Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, we're ready to take
So
a vote.
Greg, essentially 1 and 2, right?
Just 1 and 2, correct.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Jackie.
All right, Michael Baker,
Aye.
Jesse Bank,
Aye.
Todd Byrather,
Aye.
Greg Francis,
Aye.
Chris Neely,
Aye.
Ryan Patterson,
Aye.
Carol Shook,
Aye.
Tim Williams,
Aye.
Clifford Winger.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, now we are going to go and talk about the service area map, our fun one. One of our fun ones. How's that?
So to allow our discussion to get started, I'm going to make a motion that we adopt changes to SMC 17D 075190 with the service area map option 6, assuming the engineering only numbers for tunnels.
Do we have a second on that?
We can't talk about it till we start, so I figured.
Okay, thank you, Cliff. Commissioner Winger, I got to get used to this whole commissioner thing. Okay, so we're starting with the option 6, but if there's no interest in that, we can always amend the motion to change to a different map.
Oh, just ask for discussion.
It says the airport-owned boundary, so that would include the changes if the airport sold properties that were developed later? Okay, so that's what we're voting on in this?
Well, we kind of skipped that one. We tried to include it in the previous one. It got confusing. I don't know if we need to do it separate.
Well, let's consider that text on the table as well. So Section
4.
Section 4 will be the map plus that small text change that will, any Spokane airport property that is sold will go into the
West Plains
West
Service
Plains.
Area.
So
Yeah.
to clarify, this is sections 3 and 4 that we're talking about here?
Just 4.
I thought 3 came as a function of passing 4.
It did. Oh,
Well, I'm just saying, I'm
Very
trying to
good
be
at this.
consistent for the people here.
Yeah, I guess we could include section 3 as just a function of 4. But
Okay.
I don't know that we necessarily need to make a recommendation on that, though. Or maybe we do. Inga's did say boundary option and
I think for
fees, so-
consistency, we ought to, if it's on our agenda.
yes. So do you want to amend your motion?
Chair?
All right, we'll just quickly amend the motion that we are currently considering sections 3 and 4 of the proposed ordinance to include 17D 07580, the impact fee schedule, as well as 075190, Appendix B, service area map with the recommendation of map 6. And in addition, we will be adding on the Appendix B service area map for airport-owned properties as written.
Okay, correction, that was 17D 075.180.
Yeah, you said 80.
There's too many numbers.
I'll second
That's why we do section 3 and the other number. It's why I say Wednesday and the 12th, because it can't be trusted.
Okay,
I'm still allowed to speak to the main motion, right, even though we
Yeah.
don't have a second on this yet?
yes.
So I understand, Mr. Bank, what you're saying, but I also could see us proposing a different amendment that challenges the map first and just isolate that, and then come back to the impact fee schedule if you'd entertain that.
I just understood that they sort of flowed together,
Yeah.
that the schedule was a
But-
product of the map, so.
But your motion's on the table, or amendment, and if anyone seconds it, then we move into that.
I heard it was made and seconded already.
Oh, I didn't hear the second, sorry.
Yeah.
I guess I'm
Commissioner
speaking
Winger.
then in opposition to it, okay. Well, maybe I'll just talk a little bit about this before I would make another amendment to mess this up. I would propose that we think about a blanket-wide city map, meaning eliminate districts, and then remand the impact fee schedule discussion back to, to the parties, to obviously staff and also the committee to explore that. So that's not a motion, I'm just saying that's the motion I was just about to make. If you didn't,
I don't believe it is within the purview of Plan Commission to remand it back to staff. You would just not make a recommendation to council.
well, that would be the recommendation to council. That's in their power to do it, so that would,
Exactly.
yeah. Thank you for clarifying that, though.
Yeah, I would support that wholeheartedly. I think this is not ready yet, frankly. And I think we're making big decisions here on something that's not completely vetted, and again, no fault of the great work that's been done by staff on this thus far. I think it's just a function of the rush and the artificially imposed deadline to try to get this finished that is not fully thought through. And I think that's a perfectly valid option, the citywide option that does need to be considered.
Yeah, I think it's certainly worth looking at.
Commissioner Shook?
I think there's still quite a few, several questions that I'm concerned about. We're including the service areas, and I'm not sure that I like some of the service areas, but I still think that in listening to some of the comments of the speakers, I think there are still more areas that we need to discuss and learn about before we vote. And also, I didn't realize there was another alternative route besides the one going through the tunnel. And I think I'm understanding what we're voting on. Is that correct? It would include those questions as well, or that information as well.
What we're considering right now, the motion before us, is the service map, which doesn't include the project list.
Point of order. We're actually considering the amendment.
Right, I'm not including the project list. Talking about the map, the service area map. You're suggesting that we recommend number 6, is that correct?
That is
The initial proposal.
right. That's the initial proposal, is to consider option 6 of the service map with the fees that are currently identified on the service map, which of course feed back right to the project list, but we will review the project list separately.
Can we? Yes, and as we're discussing the service areas, can we put that map back up and then we can just discuss that as we're discussing?
Could you bring up
Which
option
service
6?
area we want to recommend?
Sure.
Point of order, well, Inga's bringing that up. So, Mary, just help me understand, this is an amended motion, the main motion, not an amendment to?
This is the second motion, which she revised to,
She amended it.
Okay.
she amended the motion to include
Okay, thank you.
section 3.
And then Cliff,
And Cliff seconded it.
yes.
Okay, this is number 6.
This is number 6.
Okay, and
And we will say
How
this
do
is just
we-
an arbitrary selection. We have 4 maps to work with, or as Commissioner Byruther and Bank and Baker have suggested, that maybe we revisit on whether or not there should be service areas at all. Carol has the floor first. Do you have any comments on it before we pass it on to another commissioner?
no, go right ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Winger?
I have a question on this map. I don't really believe going up to 29th is downtown, and that was brought up in some of the comments. So it appears to me that some of these divisions are arbitrary, and I'd like to see a better reasoning for doing districts if we're going to do that.
I will speak to the downtown, because that did come up during the committee that I was part of. And I was one of the people that advocated expanding the downtown area to and basically rename it downtown or the core. And basically the older parts of the city that were already really well developed and that didn't require substantial amounts of traffic infrastructure to be developed. So we called it core. We changed it. It's downtown in the current maps, but it's called core in the new maps.
I think that's pretty good, but then why wouldn't we go up north to Maxwell or something else?
We weren't
on the
given an
north side?
option to extend north.
But we're making a decision
But
on that.
Inga noted in her presentation that at this time, she didn't change the northern boundary because the northeast and northwest maps weren't under consideration.
That's not part of it.
I mean, we could recommend differently. And I'm hearing a lot of,
I'd really like to make this motion, but I'd like to make sure that everyone has exhausted their kind of discussion on this.
And I have one
There's a
more,
motion on the table.
I have
We
one more
can't make a
question in
motion.
regards to the tunnels.
okay,
And so my question, Mr. President, in regards to the tunnel is, one of the speakers mentioned that, that it's going to be insignificant over a period of time, and that Washington State was not interested in this particular tunnel. Is this something that is going to be, is this something that can just be dismissed? Do we need to be concerned about the tunnel? Is there another area that is going to be more prominent where we need to look at maybe putting $18,000?
Million.
18 million, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll let
Oh,
Inga
18
answer about the
million?
tunnels,
Okay.
but one of the things to note is that's on the impact fee project list, which isn't under consideration right now. I mean, do you
Well, we
want to
have an
answer that
option
question,
to-
Inga?
I would like to answer that question, yes. So
Okay.
I think there's a little misconception about what the future connections will be to US 195. While the Thorpe connection will be, I think it's going to remain as a right-in, right-out, long-term, the J-turns, the southern J-turn would be removed, and Lindekey, which is one of the projects on the list, which is a parallel arterial, will run from Thorpe up to Sunset Highway. So the traffic that is currently coming down Thorpe, using the J-turn to go north towards downtown, will instead shift onto Lindekey. So there will still be a lot of traffic running through the tunnels. They're just not going to get on 195. They'll go on their frontage road.
Okay, so you said Lindekey is going to run from Thorpe all the way north to Sunset Highway?
Yeah, so it'll follow.
Parallel to 395.
Yeah, to 195, yes. Originally, it was supposed to go, for those of you who may remember the old US 195 plan, the idea was to put it right on top of where the Fish Lake Trail is. What we worked out in the newer version of, after this last study, was that we would try to fit it between the Fish Lake Trail and US 195 for as long as possible. And then as you get to the very north end, they'll kind of have to cohabitate. But the idea is to provide a parallel route, so Thorpe will still very much be in use.
Okay. Before we go to you, Mr. Baker, Commissioner Williams, did you have a comment?
I would vote against the proposal on the floor. After looking at this issue a lot and reading some of the comments from various folks, I'm in support of a citywide proposal. I just think that what we have going on is we've got to get this work done, and it's significant cost, and there's a sense of, well, let's pin it on the new developments in that neighborhood, and it's not that simple. I don't think this is all that different from out on Indian Trail, where we have traffic issues way out there where a whole lot of development occurred. And I just feel like once we decide to bring an area into the city, people travel throughout the city, different places, come and go to different neighborhoods. A new restaurant pops up, you go there. People work downtown, they head back home. There's a lot of reasons, but I think it would be simpler. I recognize the dilemma for Inga, who's worked on this hard and doesn't have the work done on the north and south, but I still think the right approach and would bring lower rates for where we're trying to encourage new development and new housing would be if we had a citywide proposal. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on this.
Okay. We'll go to Commissioner Baker, then I think I think Commissioner Neely has his hand up. It's hard to tell with your background.
I'd like to call for the question on the amended proposal.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
So we're allowed to speak to it, right?
Yeah.
Or no? Unless we
Calling
vote.
the question.
The question was called, wasn't it?
Okay, if you want to suspend, then we, well, we can call a vote on whether or not we want to move forward on that, yeah.
Okay, can we just have a up, down, aye, nay for calling the question? Whether or not we call the question. This is not a vote on whether or not the actual motion, just on calling the question. All in favor of calling the question, say aye.
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 Oh, opposed? Nay?
Nay.
So we got 3 opposed,
4 in favor.
4 in favor. Man, that's on my cheat sheet.
So I'm trying to think.
I
I'm gonna
believe that
oppose it.
passes, and so we're going to actually take a vote on the motion right now. And so the motion on the floor is option 6 of the service area map with the rates, which also, so that's section 4 and section 3. So it's the adoption of option 6 of the service area map and feeding into the impact fee schedule. All right, we are going to take a vote on this.
Michael Baker,
Nay.
Jesse Bank,
No.
Todd Bybrother,
No.
Greg Francis,
Nay.
Chris Neely,
No.
Ryan Patterson,
Abstain.
Carol Shook,
No.
Tim Williams,
No.
Clifford Winger.
Aye.
Motion fails.
Commissioner Bytheworth.
I'd like to make a motion to consider a citywide option and remand back to staff and the committee.
Second.
Did you complete the motion?
No, that's good. May I speak to it? So with that, then we can deliberate, but I think more importantly, I'd like to ask Inga to help us understand the consequences of that, of changing the rules.
This is almost more of a procedural question, because I don't have the math to show you what a citywide would look like. It may, yeah, I can't guess as to where it would land. I can tell you it would raise the rates in the middle of the city. So,
I think that was a procedural question. What would this mean to you, assuming council chose this option?
I don't know that we can presume what council's going to do. I mean, the recommendation would be for council to remand it back to staff, but ultimately they'll take it and do what they want with it. So is your question, what if council remands it
What
back
if
to staff?
council remands it? What does this mean for staff and the committee?
I suppose that's a reconvening of the committee.
But is it even a reconvening of the committee? Because the committee, the whole purpose that I saw of the committee was primarily reviewing maps and kind of laying out the different options there. If we're looking at, unless we're going to modify the project list, if you're not modifying the project list, then you should be able to calculate a citywide impact fee based upon the current project list, if we were to adopt that. Maybe?
so the issue I have is that I don't have updated cost estimates for the Northwest and Northeast. So as part of this effort, we spent quite a bit of time going through and checking all of the estimates for everything in the South, the downtown, and the West Plains to do a good job of coming up with a citywide rate. I would need to go back and have our our tech check all the cost estimates for Northwest and Northeast, and that would take a while.
How about Commissioner Bank?
I would argue that's important. I would argue that we need to think about this holistically, especially given some of the conversations that have gone on today about the intent of some of these impact fees. I think, if nothing else, it's an important conversation that we need to be having as a city. And I would also add that while it may, across the board, we talked about it potentially increasing the fees downtown, I would argue there are a menu of tools contained within this ordinance that could address the incentivization of particular types of development that we would like to see downtown within the fee exemptions and the fee reductions that could be a more targeted tool than these sort of big block maps that we have right now.
I just have a question of, which I don't know if anyone knows this, is if there is anything in the current code establishing the impact fee zones or impact fee structure that specifically addresses the creation of the zones, like, would that have to be amended?
Districts.
Yeah, the individual districts, would that have to be amended in order to also make this change?
Nothing's coming to mind, but I think we'd probably like to double check.
I have a comment, but I'll just cut in.
So I want to support what Commissioner Banks said. That's my feeling too, is that this needs to be more surgical. I'm looking at the comments from the committee. There's some I agree with, some I don't, but I can't come to calling balls and strikes on this based on the blunt tool that is making big, districts and choosing winners and losers, and not, the calculations I understand how they're arrived at, but I think the challenge is there's not the multiple tools for exemption that should be related to other things, a little more complexity, than just the transportation part. And I understand the transportation fees, but those also should be related to other factors such as density and things related to transportation, right? How we want to build out the city. So I'll leave it there, and I think the mechanisms exist, and that's the remanding back is to understanding that's a big task.
We have Commissioner Neely first.
I think to the average person, if you said that impact fees can be used across the city, the first thing they would say is, then why isn't it a whole city map as is being proposed? Therefore, I'd like to add my voice to those folks who think this should be sent back. We should have a citywide map, at least to compare against the rest of these, so that we have a more complete picture to work with.
Mary?
This is a point of clarification. Assuming what the tenor of this discussion is, that this were to go through, I want to clarify that all maps as were proposed to the Plan Commission will also go forward, because it is it would be the recommendation, but not the final decision. And I would think all of the maps need to go forward to City Council, because they may agree with the recommendation or not. So by recommending this, it doesn't throw out all those maps. I want to make sure.
I would say that would be accurate, that our recommendation is to create a citywide map or an additional map and rejecting the other four maps. But the other four maps, since we are only a recommending body, the other four maps would continue to go forward to City Council.
That's just what I wanted to make sure.
Would that be correct?
Well, I want to clarify something, and that is, it's really outside the scope of what Plan Commission has today to consider to request the citywide map. I think the recommendation from council or from the Plan Commission would just be no recommendation. And included in the findings could be some discussion about the lack of additional options or something along those lines, but there's not really a mechanism for recommending an option that has not been, provided on the table through this process. So I just want to make that clear.
I would try to go further and say that we are evaluating consistency, and so we're finding the options presented to us are not consistent on some basis. And we could establish that, but I wouldn't want a no recommendation go forward.
So your motion would be for no recommendation then?
No, I don't feel that's a strong enough statement. We're finding that something in the existing options are not consistent in our comprehensive plan, and that needs to be further pursued.
I agree with Todd. I think we've got to make a stronger statement to the council.
Okay, but I'm just saying in the Plan Commission, rules of procedure, it's basically yes or no recommendation made.
That's right.
No.
So you can include your rationale in the findings, but it feels to me like there's a new request surfacing, which is to suggest to council that an option should be considered that has not been under consideration at this point. So the motion would be for no recommendation with additional language in the findings about the lack of merits of what Plan Commission has heard up to this point.
I just would want to clarify that I think that case could also be made for a finding of no on all the maps for that, for the reason being, and that might be stronger than a no recommendation.
That would be appropriate.
Yep, that's my intent.
That would work.
No,
Okay.
because, and then in the findings of fact, demonstrate that there's, not consistency.
Okay.
Mr. President, may I comment, please?
Yes, go ahead.
I am partial to map number 6. However, I would suggest that we look at the tunnel, the cost of the tunnel, and is that really going to be relevant? How relevant is that going to be 15 years down the road or so? And is that the money that would be spent there, can we put it somewhere else? Can it be used better somewhere else?
Okay.
So I don't think we should throw out all of the maps. Someone else might look at them and find something better. I am partial to number 6.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Winger?
I'm not in love with option 6, but what I would like to see, and we've sort of been talking around it with the Growth Management Act and Strong Towns type of thing, we need to encourage growth in the middle of the city and work outwards. And map 6 comes closest with that, but we're not looking at the entire city. So I think we need to look at what the Growth Management Act means to us, and that's what our comprehensive plan came from. And so agreeing with Commissioner Breyer, that I don't think we have all the opportunities on our table that we should be considering.
Okay, the motion currently on the floor is to effectively reject all the maps and recommend a citywide map and to recommend to City Council to send it back to staff. Is that my understanding of the motion?
No, Mr. President, I think Mr. Secretary said that wasn't an option for us to make that recommendation or vote. Is that correct?
Basically what that would become is a no vote and we would make a recommendation in the findings.
So, yeah, I think to restate where I see an appropriate outlet for this is to recommend a vote to deny, and then in the findings, the logic behind that can be established.
The recommendation to
That's
deny.
not, so is that your motion?
Yep.
And is that the seconders?
So are you withdrawing your original motion then?
I can amend the motion to make sure it's clear that in the findings, it's a recommendation to deny. And then with, to remand to consider a citywide option.
I think with the simple recommendation is to deny, or the motion is to deny, and then there's been enough deliberation established that the finding can include that information.
Who seconded that?
Yeah, who did the second on, was that?
I think it was you.
Okay, second.
Okay, so the motion has been revised to deny all maps. And with the findings of fact, we'll basically have the reasoning behind it.
Should that
Based
say-
on the discussion that's
Should that
occurred.
say reject?
To reject, yes.
I think deny is the right word.
Nine? Okay, whatever.
Okay.
I mean,
Do you have
Deny
enough?
all the maps? Is that because?
That's what the current motion on the floor is.
And-
All right, are there any further deliberations on this?
And if we need to clarify, we're talking about Appendix B, right?
Yes, Section 4, Appendix B.
We still have the option to talk about Appendix D, impact fee
Yeah.
project list, yeah, okay.
All right.
Lower it again, Greg.
The current motion on the floor. Go ahead and
It's a
state
rec-
it.
It's recommendation to deny Appendix B service area maps, and then in the findings of fact to recommend to remand back to staff to consider citywide option.
Is
So
that
and if I
sufficient
can stop
clarity
there, because I
for
think it's bad to
writing up
keep.
the findings?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've already established in the record plenty to talk about the citywide option and the desire for more evaluation.
So
Okay.
Spencer, you're okay with this?
Well,
here comes
Mr. Richmond is here to save the day.
Here it all goes down.
If I could jump in for just a minute, yeah, we seem to be going back and forth between recommending denial and recommending a remand. I think technically under the code, the option that we settled on was the recommendation to deny, or under the code, that technically the language is to not adopt the proposal.
Okay.
And then in the findings, we can explain your rationale for making that recommendation
Yep,
and your desires.
I should have
going
given a
forward.
hard stop at recommendation to deny or to not adopt. The rest is commentary for findings of fact.
Yes, that's the way I see it.
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
We'll keep it legal.
Okay, any further deliberation before we take a vote on this motion?
So, okay, so my comment would be, I'm not sure about the citywide rate because that's something that's just come up this evening. But I do like number 6, but I do agree that to vote against the option that was on the table a minute ago. But to keep number 6.
Okay, well, that's not on, I mean, the motion right now is to basically deny. God, I should have a
I'm a minute
stronger
ago.
memory here. And so basically that would be
deny.
rejecting all the maps. So if you don't agree with that, that's fine, and you can vote
Okay.
no.
Vote no.
Okay,
Has it been seconded?
it has been seconded by Commissioner Bank.
Thank you.
Okay, with no further deliberation, well, let's do a roll call vote.
Okay, Michael Baker,
Aye.
Jesse Bank,
Aye.
Todd Byrather,
Aye.
Greg Francis,
Aye.
Chris Neely,
Aye.
Ryan Patterson,
Abstain?
Carol Shook,
No.
Tim Williams,
Aye.
Clifford Winger.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, we're moving on. So at this point, I'm whether or not to adopt, well,
The last two possible sections, the last section of the proposed ordinance is section 5, but it does include both an SMC change and a comprehensive plan change. So we discussed doing those as two separate motions, but they would be essentially the same thing to adopt the impact fee project list as it is written.
so you want to
The
turn that
list
into a motion?
of projects. Yeah, I just want to make sure we're all on board before I do it in 5 different ways. So I'd like to make a motion to adopt changes to SMC 17D 075210, the impact fee project list, as mentioned in section 5 of the proposed ordinance.
I second.
Commissioner Williams.
I had a question for Inga with the comments about the Thorpe tunnel work, and it looks like there's one or maybe 2 items that would come out of there if it were, well, one, I guess, first question is, do you think it makes sense to remove the engineering tunnel work in light of the comments about eventually we want traffic to be taking advantage of the arterials that we're building instead?
That's not what she said.
And then 2, if we were to remove that engineering tunnel work, is it just 1 item or is it 2 items on this list? Because there's reference to the Fish Lake Trail too.
Okay.
I'm sorry, your voice is becoming very quiet.
To answer your first question, no, I would not recommend removing the preliminary engineering phase of the tunnels. We have a very large amount of vacant land to the west of the tunnels within city limits. In fact, we have a plat that was turned in as counter-complete a couple weeks ago with a request for over 1,000 new homes in that area. That traffic cannot fit through the tunnels the way they are right now. So that is the reason it's on the impact fee list, is because it is a needed improvement to add the capacity. The arterial is on the other side of the tunnels. It's on the highway side. So they have to go through the tunnel to reach the new arterial. Okay, and then the second part, sorry, I forgot, what was it?
Well, there's reference to the BNSF tunnel on Thorpe, and that's like the 1.4 million, and then right below it says Fish Lake Trail tunnel on Thorpe.
Okay, so there's 2 tunnels. The BNSF tunnel is 200 feet long. The Fish Lake Trail tunnel is 100 feet long. They both need to be modified. They're the same width, just one is longer than the other. The one under the railroad is going to be more complicated because we can't just close the railroad. We have to do any kind of work keeping the railroad open. The one for Fish Lake Trail, we could potentially, close the trail for a year, do the construction, and then open it back up again. They both need to be evaluated, though, because we do have the option of doing a trail or changing the tunnel under Fish Lake or just ripping it out and putting in a bridge. So they both need to stay in there, in my opinion.
The list as we're voting on now, though, is the full tunnel, not the breakout that was of just the engineering.
It's just the engineering.
It's just the engineering?
Yes.
The cost, at least, is just the engineering.
That's the current list we're voting right now?
Yes.
Then I move to amend to put the whole tunnel back in. If there's no second, that's okay.
Just a point of clarity on, we've crossed over a lot of purview boundaries here. Is that within our purview to pick and choose items that are on this list, or is it an up-down on the list?
Whether the tunnel is included or not has been considered throughout this process, so it would be appropriate for Plan Commission to weigh in on whether the full cost should be included or just the engineering cost.
Limited to the tunnel, or is it open to other items?
We have not considered a range of other items, so we're sort of limited to the options that have been presented up to this point. The full construction cost versus engineering cost has been one of those decision points.
Thank you. Second, then.
I guess a clarification then is, if we have items on the project list that someone wanted to suggest removal from. I mean, is that within our purview?
Yes, so for example, the suggestion that certain bike and pedestrian projects should be removed, that it would be appropriate to consider changing that. But bringing up new projects that have not been included in the discussion would not work.
Okay. Okay, so we have an amendment on the table to change the tunnels, the Thorpe tunnels, from engineering only to engineering plus construction.
So to speak to
Correct, is that correct?
my proposed amendment, we're looking at a list, a 20-year plan in our city. Doing an engineering of something is not a 20-year plan. The project is.
Okay. Other comments on the amendment? Clifford?
If we're going to consider a citywide, then doing that whole project would be divided out a lot less than what it is on the current maps that we have.
All right. Commissioner Neely, you had your hand up. Did you drop it?
Yeah, just a procedural question here. The original discussion was on approving the Appendix D list as documented here, which includes the options 2, 4, 6, and 7 columns. If we were saying that to the City Council sort of no on any of those options, would we be better served to have the city remove those columns from this Appendix D before it's forwarded to the City Council?
It seems as though that would not be within, the columns designate which projects belong in which district that he's referencing.
I mean, it strikes me the list is the list, and the allocation into the different maps is variable and subject to question, but the list is the list.
Yeah, and the list would be basically, depending upon which map got approved, would be reconciled to whatever that happens to be. So I think what we're looking at is the list and the costs associated with them, not which service areas they fall within, ultimately.
Correct, that would essentially be a clerical
Right.
adjustment.
That would just be a cleanup item, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so any further discussion on the proposed amendment?
We're
Commissioner
talking about
Williams?
adding tunnel construction, but there's been no mention of a dollar figure.
It's already been identified within the, can you clarify the project, the dollar amounts?
I think it was 14 million for the BNSF tunnel and 6 million for the Fish Lake Trail, if I remember right.
And that included the engineering costs?
Correct.
At that point?
That's the total cost, yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, and also just that that's an estimate based on a lot of unknowns at this point without having the engineering done.
Yeah, that's why staff thought maybe we should hold off and do preliminary engineering and then come back once we have better numbers and go through this process again. And then at that time, add the construction.
All right.
I think that's a great idea.
Just clarify this. This is a 20-year list, but we do update this list more frequently than every 20 years. So, for example, with the better engineering costs, we would come back once we have those numbers and update it.
Any further comments on the amendment? All right, let's go ahead and do a vote on the amendment. So this amendment is to replace the engineering cost for Thorpe Road tunnels and make it full construction.
And otherwise adopt the impact fee project list as written.
No.
Oh, the amendment, we're only on.
We're only on doing the amendment.
Okay.
Okay, Michael Baker,
No.
Jesse Bank,
No.
Todd Byrather,
Aye.
Greg Francis,
Aye.
Chris Neely,
Aye.
Ryan Patterson,
Aye.
Carol Shook,
I'm sorry. I think aye.
Deny? Okay. Tim
I
Williams?
heard aye.
Oh, sorry, did you say aye or deny? Commissioner Shook?
Me?
Yes.
No, I said yes.
Okay, thank you. I misheard. Okay, thanks. Tim
No.
Williams? Clifford Winger?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
6-4, right?
6-4. Yep.
All right. So, motion on the floor is to adopt the project list as amended, which included all construction costs for the Thorpe tunnels. Do we have any further discussion on this? All right. Seeing none, we are going to do another roll call vote. Jackie gets to move back and forth. So to clarify, this is to adopt within the SMC the impact fee project list as amended to include the Thorpe Tunnel construction.
Okay, Michael Baker?
Aye.
Jesse Bank?
Aye.
Todd Byrather?
Aye.
Greg Francis?
Aye.
Chris Neely?
Aye.
Ryan Patterson?
Aye.
Carol Shook?
Aye.
Tim Williams?
Aye.
Clifford Winger?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. We have one final motion, hopefully.
A final motion to do the same thing, but for the comprehensive plan. I move that we adopt the changes to Section 5, Appendix, oh my gosh, Appendix, you gave me the number. Adopt the changes to the comprehensive plan, Section Z23-039,
Well,
oh my gosh.
That's the application.
No, you're right. I don't,
It is Appendix
can we
D.
just say, is it D?
Appendix D of the comprehensive
There's too many
plan.
Ds. This is D, that one's D, they're all D. All right. We move to adopt the changes to amend Appendix D of the comprehensive plan to revise the capital facilities plan, and which includes the impact fee project list that we just voted on. As amended in our previous motion.
What chapter is that under?
That's in Appendix D.
It's just an
It's
appendix,
referred
apparently.
to, it is referred to in the transportation chapter, but it is Appendix D of the comprehensive plan.
Okay, I second.
That's where I got confused.
I second it.
All right, let's see if I can understand what you just said. So we are taking the transportation impact fee project list as we amended. So the Thorpe Tunnels, full construction, and we're adopting it into Appendix D of the comprehensive plan, replacing the existing project list. Correct?
Yes.
And you seconded it, Mr. Winker. All right. Any deliberation on this? Seeing none, let's do another vote. Excuse me.
All right, Michael Baker?
Aye.
Jesse Bank?
Aye.
Todd Byrather?
Aye.
Greg Francis?
Aye.
Chris Neely?
Aye.
Ryan Patterson?
Aye.
Carol Shook?
Aye.
Tim Williams?
Aye.
Clifford Winger?
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
So
Yes.
no action is needed on 17, on section 3, right?
The impact
Because that's
fee
remanded?
schedule.
Correct. That was part of that original motion that we rejected. So actually, I do have a point here. We rejected the service map area, but
That's
we
fine.
did have that text amendment to 17D075190, which included re-adding the airport properties back into the service area if they
Oh, yeah. And that would,
leave the
that would.
benefit district.
And at first I thought that that was null because if we were talking about no districts. However, this would take it from not having an impact fee at all to being included in the impact fee area, regardless of the district name. So we probably do need to make an action on that.
Yeah. So we're just talking about the text component
To.
of 190.
Yeah, that would automatically add properties in the current airport-owned boundary to, it's, as written, it's to the West Plains service area, but we could specify impact fee service area if we wanted to be generic.
There is currently a West Plains service area.
Well, there currently is, so, yeah, it would be accurate to add it to the current service area.
Do you turn that into a motion?
Yeah, might as well. All right, so I move that we update SMC 17D 075190, which is the current service area maps, to allow for properties within the airport-owned boundary to be automatically added to the West Plains service area when no longer owned by the airport board.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Bank.
Good job.
Okay, any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, let's do another roll call vote. So you're getting all your steps in today.
I am. That's good. All right, Michael Baker,
Aye.
Jesse Bank,
Aye.
Todd Byrather,
Aye.
Greg Francis,
Aye.
Chris Neely,
Aye.
Ryan Patterson,
Aye.
Carol Shook,
Aye.
Tim Williams.
Aye.
Oh, thank you.
Aye, aye.
And Clifford Winger.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That wasn't actually my question, though. It's good to clean that up, but
Okay.
I was asking about Appendix A. Are we,
Oh, no, we
Appendix A was rejected as part of the service
Okay.
fact projection.
clarifying? And then second, we don't have to take any action on the whereas portion before Section 1 of the ordinance, proposed ordinance? There's some very specific language in there. The Plan Commission found that these are just a courtesy.
We would adjust those
Yeah.
based on, this is just so it's out in the public.
Okay.
Commissioner Williams.
Moratorium within our purview.
Now, City Council can elect to extend the moratorium, perhaps, if they need to, but that's not within our bounds. All right. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.